RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message.
Sunsets glow. I love thee. Oh, I love thee. Oh, I love thee. Oh,
Yes, my dearest and most beloved divine friends and families in Guyana and around the world. Guyana is still in a state of what I would like to refer as pain, disgust, and perdition, and suspicion. Also what appears to be a state of conspiracy, deceit, evil mongering, confusion, suspicion, which all could lead to destruction. Friends and families, divine brothers and sisters around the world. Now, the date of count of our votes, or recount, has been set. My problem is, they're setting the date for a recount, but the count was not finished. So how can you have a recount when a count was not finished? Region 4 was called just before 50% was counted and declared, albeit according to the pundits, the scholars, and those who are experienced in diplomacy and politics, Guyana and the world over, that how could they make a declaration which was wrought with suspicion and fraud, they say. So now that they're setting a date for a recount, even though the count was not finished, the fact is something clandestine is happening, and I hope it doesn't create a backlash where people and their lives and families of power, and maybe their sponsors, finances, and so on, of power, will be blacklisted or sanctioned. I'm one who really don't like sanctions, but if it comes to it, then it is the authorities, the people in the world, the politicians who will make the recommendations, and maybe those who know already what they have to do. I am not calling for sanctions because I don't think it's a good thing in my country. It could have disastrous economic effect and disaster on people's personal life, particularly the children, their wives, and so forth. So friends and family, these are readings I'm taking from the various, this one is coming from Newsroom, two from Newsroom, one from the Kaichor newspapers, and also the other from Newsroom are also in various newspapers in Guyana. Canadian government calls on GRANGER to approve return of Carter Center observers. I can't understand the commentary. Why would they not want these internationally recognized people? Because they were observed and some comments were made in reports that there was obvious skullduggery and attempts by GCOM. And I don't understand the mindset of some Guyanese. Something is wrong, and I like to be serious with that word. I don't want to say their heads. I say skull. Something is wrong with their skulls and the grey matter that is housed in there. Because if you're criticizing or critiquing GCOM, why do you think you're critiquing the APNO AFC? I don't know. A small group of Lilliputians, obfuscationists, manipulators and tricksters want to get away from the point and try to somehow or the other attack you or blame you. You don't like persons of this race because you disagree with GCOM. You don't like persons of this party or the coalition. Nonsense. My quarrel is always with GCOM. And if GCOM has sponsors, then fine. Friends and families, brothers and sisters, we have to be careful in our country. This is a time when we should be celebrating and be in joy. Whether the same government stays in power or a new government takes power, we must not go down in world history in disgrace and degradation and looked down upon by the world. Back to the article now. The Canadian government has added its voice to the many calls for the Carter Center observers to be granted permission to land in Guyana to observe the national recount of votes slated to commence Wednesday, May 6th at the Arctic Chung Conference Center. We continue to watch the situation in Guyana. Glad the CARICOM mission has returned, but President Granger should also immediately approve the return of the Carter Center. They are duly accredited and want to complete their observation mission, tweeted Michael Grant, the Deputy Director and Senior Analyst at Global Affairs Canada. The Carter Center first played a key role in the historic 1992 elections in Guyana and has observed every elections since then. So I'm asking, what is the problem now? They were here. They're already accredited. This is my commentary so far. And it makes the government, and sadly, you know, I'm a guy, I made it quite clear I like President Granger personally. Why will he not give approval if his Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not doing it? Or the COVID-19 task force, who seem to have their own personal agenda, and as if they're running the government, or the government is being run now by the COVID-19 task force. Something is not too kosher or halal or pure here. The US Embassy in Georgetown, back to the article, on Sunday clarified that it had sought approval via official channels for observers of the Carter Center to board a flight to Guyana Monday. But this was denied by the National COVID-19 Task Force headed by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. Moses Nagamutu, as we know, commentary, is a figurehead. It has been run really by the former Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon. He is the CEO, so he's the point man of business. Now that's the reality of that one, right? And they continue. The United States government is urging the interim Guyana government to grant permission for the Carter Center observers to fly to Guyana Monday to observe the recount of the votes set for Wednesday, May 6th. It seems that they will miss the flight. They're waiting in Miami, according to my understanding, to board the flight, but something seems despotic and desperate in place, and this is not good for Guyana. The United States government calls on the government of Guyana to approve entry for the Carter Center and IRI Global. I repeat, IRI Global, in order to ensure a transparent electoral recount. A credible recount requires robust international participation. Guyana Elections tweeted, Acting Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemispheric Affairs of the U.S. Department of State, Ambassador Michael Kozak. Ambassador Kozak has become known for pressuring the caretaker government to ensure a transparent electoral process since Guyanese voted on the March 2nd, 2020 general and regional elections. He has spoken out on many occasions about the developments here. On March 26, he summoned Guyana's ambassador to the U.S., Riyadh Insanali, and sternly reiterated the United States' position that it will not accept the government which is sworn in using flawed elections results. The U.S. Embassy in Georgetown on Sunday clarified that it had sought approval via official channels for observers of the Carter Center to board a flight to Guyana Monday, but this was denied by the National COVID-19 Task Force headed by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. The embassy said it sent a diplomatic note to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on April 29 seeking permission for flights on May 4th, 2020 and May 30th, 2020. These flights serve a dual purpose, with the inbound flight on May 4 carrying accredited international observer missions to Guyana for the RECOUNT process, and the outbound flights serving to repatriate U.S. nationals, legal permanent residents, and the third country nationals. Third country nationals mean those who are using it as a point in transit to get to other countries. The embassy has also sent a copy of the diplomatic note to the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, accompanied by a request to advance the issue to Guyana's COVID-19 task force. The U.S. Embassy was informed on Saturday, May 2nd, that the incoming May 4th flight has been approved by the task force, but not the arrival of the observers. And I'm going to ask, but why not? What are you afraid of? Do you have something to hide, COVID-19 task force? Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It looks as if you and it making your government, AFC, APNU or APNU AFC, look bad. As if there is skullduggery in force. And this is not good for the APNU AFC. Right now I'm using mostly APNU, not so much the AFC, because the AFC, to my opinion, is neither here nor there. The embassy has since sought reconsideration of this matter at the highest levels in recognition of the observer missions to illustrate the commitment of the caretaker government and the international community to a free, fair and transparent process. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the official government agency that responds to such requests. The Minister of Foreign Affairs sits on the National COVID-19 Task Force, which is responsible for granting approval for special flights to enter or leave Guyana as ports are closed as part of measures to prevent the spread of the COVID-19. Now, this is, I'm going to read now, friends and families, is taken from the Kaichor News, May 3rd, 2020, Sunday. Carter Center not getting government approval to fly to Guyana for the recount. And again, I'll ask, why not? Unless you have something to hide, and evil conspiracy is in the ploy. The Carter Center Electoral Observer Mission yesterday tweeted that it has been trying to get an observer on a Monday flight to Georgetown to observe the recount, but had not been granted access by government of Guyana. A little after 5 p.m. yesterday, the mission's Twitter account posted a picture of the Carter Center logo accompanied by the message, "Update." The Carter Center is trying to get an observer on a Monday flight to Georgetown to observe the recount, but has so far been unsuccessful in getting approval from the government of Guyana elections. The U.S. Embassy in Guyana posted an image of the observer mission tweet on its Facebook page without comment, while the Canadian High Commission to Guyana retweeted the post with the government. Canada funded the Carter Center Election Observer Team in Guyana. I hope Guyana will allow them to return to complete their task at Carter Center, and has earned the respect of Guyanese citizens and political parties for decades. Under the current lockdown rules, if a special flight has to be chartered, the interested party has to seek the approval of the National COVID-19 Task Force, chaired by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. The task force has approved the arrival of the CARICOM scrutineer team, following a decision by the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, for a high-level CARICOM team to scrutinize the RECOUNT. A chartered British Airways flight from London also recently brought in a batch of 70 Exxon workers. GCOM has made a decision on Friday, 27th of last March, a little over a week ago, to invite all local and international observer missions that participated in the March general and regional elections process to return for the recount. However, when Culture News had contacted other observer groups during the last week, there was no invitation yet extended to them from the Commission. A Carter Centre representative told this paper on Sunday last that while no invitation had come from GCOM, the organisation remained committed to the electoral process and expected no hiccups in returning to take part in the recount process. Friends and families, so there's some deceit and dishonesty here, because the GCOM, and obviously it's CEO, Low and Field, and its HR is involved here, because they're saying they invited all observers. But the people are saying, the observer teams, no, particularly the Carter Centre, they haven't received any invitation, but they're still applying to come. To end, the GCOM Public Relations Officer, Yolanda Ward, said yesterday afternoon that she was only aware of a decision by one international observer mission to observe the recount, the Organization of American States. She said that team will be utilizing 2 of its local team members who were part of the mission for the March election. So OAS are coming with 2 persons, apparently, so far from what I understand from this reading here, my friends and families. But no invitation was extended to the Carter or the IRI Global. This is unfortunate and sad for our country, and will only bring further alienation, degradation, and sanctions. Sanctions hopefully never against our country, because it will have effect on our citizens and our way of life. And it might have sanctions also against persons, individuals involved in the plot and the conspiracies and the deceits. But like I said, I'm not one who believes in sanctions, because it can have devastating effects on children, family, relatives of persons who deserve to be targeted. Friends and families, thank you for tuning into this. The RK's Guyana Free Media, striving to bring information of importance and concern of national development, and in this case of elections 2020, Guyana's election madness. And I'm your host, brother, friend, Haji Roshan Khan, saying thank you and farewell, friends.